Last month, the R&A announced Royal St George's as the venue for the 149th Open, which will be staged in 2020. The historic English links last held the tournament in 2011, and after St Andrews has hosted more Opens than any course on the current championship rota, 14 and counting. Founded in 1887, Royal St George's had the honour of being the first course outside Scotland to host the Open Championship in 1894. The winner of the first Open played there was appropriately an Englishman, the legendary J.H. Taylor. He won by 5 strokes at Sandwich, again the following year at St Andrews, and in all won the Open 5 times. 6-time Open champion Harry Vardon continued that tradition of English winners at the English links, winning twice at St George's in 1899 and then 12 years later in 1911. Another of the game's greats, America's first Open champion Walter Hagen, won 2 of his 4 titles at Royal St George's. When describing the course in 1928, he declared, "The first 9 holes, tremendous fun, not very good golf. The second 9 holes, tremendous golf, no fun at all."
Look at that crowd, wild with excitement, anxious to shake Hagen's hand. Walter's mighty glad to get that title, too.
Located between 2 former Open venues, Prince's and Royal Cinque Ports, St George's position on England's southeast coast leaves it at the mercy of the elements, and some Opens here have been particularly ferocious. The last day of the 1938 tournament was perhaps the worst in the championship's history. The exhibition tent was shredded and flattened, much of its contents were blown into the sea, and only 7 players broke 80 in the final round. As the championship grew in stature, Sandwich was dropped from the Open rota, with the event deemed too big for the town. However, improvements to the course and its surrounding infrastructure saw the Open return in 1981 for the first time in 32 years. All the big names in golf were present, along with thousands of spectators, but it was a relatively unheralded American who stole the limelight.
And just look at those crowds. And somewhere in there is the 1981 Open champion.
Let the golfer through, come on!
Bill Rogers' golfing education came on the hard ground and heavy winds of Texas, and he had the game to master Royal St George's. In 1981, he finished 4 shots clear of Bernhard Langer.
And that's the way champions finish, a round of 71, 276, 4 under par, and the winner by 4 strokes. Rogers so often a runner-up, but today proving to be a winner.
So successful was the 1981 championship that the R&A made a swift return to Sandwich in 1985, where Sandy Lyle became the first British winner of the tournament for 16 years. Leading by 1 coming down the 18th, the Scot certainly didn't make life easy for himself on the final hole.
Got the club under the ball a bit and it's not going to make it. All the way back it comes. Will it roll off the green? Surely not. Oh, dear, dear, dear.
Despite a bogey on the last, Lyle's challengers failed to match his tally, and Sandwich crowned another first-time major champion.
So the 27-year-old Scot, Sandy Lyle, the first British winner here at Royal St George's since 1938.
In recent years, Royal St George's has been lengthened and modified to satisfy the needs of the modern game. But the course has more or less retained the original layout throughout its 130-year history. Only in 1993 was it made to look somewhat vulnerable at the hands of the professionals. Nick Faldo shot the course record of 63 in the second round, whilst Ernie Els became the first man to shoot all 4 rounds in the 60s at the Open. The feat was matched by eventual winner Greg Norman, whose total of 267 strokes was the lowest in Open history, a record that was finally broken by Henrik Stenson in 2016. Nevertheless, a performance for the ages, according to former Open champion Gene Sarazen.
I'm delighted to have been here because I saw probably the greatest championship I've seen in my whole 70 years of golf. You never see such shots that Norman played. It's terrific. I never saw such golf. What are those scores? Are they football scores or golf scores?
Not everyone makes playing Royal St George's look that easy, though.
No, not on this footprint.
In 2003, Thomas Bjorn was leading the Open by 3 shots with 3 holes to play, but found himself humbled by a greenside bunker at the 16th. It was a painful end to the Danes' Open chances. Bjorn's misfortune opened the door for America's Ben Curtis, playing in his first major championship. Ranked 396 in the world at the start of the week, Curtis held his nerve to par the final hole and become one of the most improbable winners of golf's oldest major.
Well, quite amazing scenes here around the 18th green at Royal St George's Club. An ancient club has seen many great sights and scenes in its day, but this is truly remarkable. Young man Ben Curtis coming over, playing in his first championship and beating the cream of world golf, and he's going home with that wonderful trophy.
The Open's last visit to Royal St George's in 2011 proved equally memorable, as Northern Ireland's Darren Clarke displayed his mastery of the links conditions, cruising to a 3-shot victory over the field, a popular winner at a celebrated course. Royal St George's is links golf at its finest, and the Open's return to this historic venue in 2020 will no doubt produce more drama and another worthy champion.